There's a moment every trader knows, the quiet hours of the weekend when the market doesn't sleep, but you should. You lie there in the dark screen, glowing charts, moving, mind racing. You tell yourself it's just curiosity, but deep down you know it's something else. It's that familiar fear, the fear of missing out, the fear of losing control, the fear that if you look away for a second, you'll fall behind. But this isn't a story about charts or price action. This is a story about the one thing every trader must face alone: discipline. Not the kind that shows up in your strategy, but the kind that shows up in your habits. Because in a market that never sleeps, the greatest trade you'll ever make is choosing to rest when everything tells you not to. This is case number 10, the sleep discipline test. A story about control surrender and the quiet war between your emotions and your awareness. Welcome to Mind Over Markets. It's 2:13 in the morning. The world outside is asleep, but your mind isn't. The room is dim lit only by the glow of a screen, numbers, moving candles forming, and fading green turning to red, turning to green again. Bitcoin just broke a level you've been watching all week. Your pulse quickens. You tell yourself just 5 more minutes, but you know what that really means. It means another hour, maybe 2. It means you'll wake up tomorrow exhausted, trying to pretend you're in control when the truth is the market has been controlling you. You say you trade to build freedom, yet here you are, chained to the chart at 2 a.m., afraid to blink, afraid to miss what might be the move. This is not a test of the market. This is a test of you, the sleep discipline test. It's one of the most subtle battles in trading psychology, the fight between your rational plan and your emotional impulses. Because the crypto market never sleeps. And if you're not careful, neither will you. When you first started trading, weekends felt like a blessing. No boss, no deadlines, no market hours to obey. Freedom. But over time, that freedom became a trap. You began to feel it, that quiet anxiety when the price moved without you, that rush of adrenaline when you caught it just in time, the constant craving for updates, notifications, charts, validation, like an invisible thread pulling your attention even when you tried to rest. This is FOMO, the fear of missing out dressed in logic. Your mind whispers, if I just check one more time, I'll be safer. If I watch the chart overnight, I'll be ready. But that's not readiness. That's fear wearing a mask of control. Every trader says they want control, but few realize that the need to control is itself a form of addiction. It feeds on uncertainty. It feeds on the dopamine rush that comes with every green candle, every sudden drop. Each tick becomes a tiny dose of stimulation, and soon your nervous system is hooked. The irony is painful. The more you try to control the market, the more the market controls you. Some people think trading is about predicting price, but the best traders know it's about predicting yourself. Understanding what part of you will show up when the screen lights up at midnight. Will it be the disciplined observer who follows a plan, or the impulsive child chasing excitement, desperate not to feel left behind? The truth is, your trading performance doesn't collapse because of lack of skill. It collapses because of lack of sleep. Sleep deprivation lowers your discipline, weakens your working memory, and amplifies emotional reactivity. That means one sleepless night can turn a rational trader into a gambler. And you won't even notice it happening because your brain will convince you that you're still sharp, still aware, still in control. But you're not. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles planning and judgment, goes quiet when you're tired. And the limbic system, the emotional core, takes over. So instead of analyzing, you react. Instead of thinking, you chase. Instead of resting, you spiral. This is how most traders lose, not in the chart, but in the space between exhaustion and impulse. There's a quote I love: "Discipline is not about what you can force yourself to do. It's about what you can resist doing." Resisting the urge to check the price, resisting the illusion that you're missing something, resisting the thought that your presence will change the outcome. The market will move whether you're awake or asleep, but your mind, that's the real market, the one where the price of peace is determined by how much control you give to your emotions. So tonight, as you lie there staring at your phone, ask yourself, what are you really afraid of? Are you afraid of missing the trade or afraid of missing the feeling that trading gives you? Because those are not the same thing. The first is about opportunity. The second is about identity. And that's where the addiction hides, not in the charts, but in who you think you are when you're watching them. In trading psychology, we often talk about emotional capital. You can lose it faster than you lose money. Every hour without rest, every impulsive check, every moment of obsession, it all drains your emotional account. And when that account runs dry, even the best strategy will fail. You can't think clearly when you're emotionally bankrupt. You can't stay patient when your body is in survival mode. You can't detach when you haven't slept. This is part one of the test. It's not about profit. It's about patience. It's about observing the moment when your body says sleep and your mind says no. That's the intersection where real mastery begins. Because if you can't win the small battle, the decision to rest, how will you ever win the big one? When you choose sleep, you're not missing the market. You're training your mind to trust the plan more than the impulse. And that quietly, invisibly, is how traders evolve. Excellent, here's part 2 of your long-form narrative, continuing in the exact same tone and rhythm as the profitable mind. No directions, no effects, only a smooth, reflective monologue for 11 Labs narration. This section deepens into the inner psychology of the dopamine trap, emotional fatigue, and the illusion of control in trading. You wake up late. The sunlight is sharp, your head heavy. You reach for your phone before your mind is even awake. And there it is again, that green candle that kept you up half the night. It moved exactly as you predicted, but you weren't there. A wave of emotion hits regret, frustration, the familiar whispers of "I should have stayed awake." But that's the illusion talking. The illusion that the only path to success is constant presence. That illusion is what destroys traders. You don't realize it yet, but this morning isn't about the chart. It's about the story your mind is telling you about the chart. The story that says, if I had just done more, I would have won. That story feels logical, but it's toxic, because what it's really saying is, you're not enough unless you're always watching. And that right there is the seed of addiction. Dopamine is a clever architect. It doesn't reward you with pleasure, it rewards you with pursuit. Every time you check the chart, your brain learns that anticipation feels good, not winning anticipation. That's why you check again and again and again. The anticipation becomes your drug, and the market becomes your dealer. When the price moves, it doesn't just move your portfolio, it moves your chemistry. Tiny bursts of dopamine fire through your brain, whispering, "Stay alert. Something's happening." And before long, you're not trading to make money anymore. You're trading to feel alive. This is the trap most traders never escape, because on the surface, it looks like hard work. You're studying, analyzing, staying up late, tracking every move. But in truth, you're just feeding the same cycle of craving and reward that drives every addiction known to man. The difference is you call it productivity. There's a strange kind of pride in the trading world. We glorify the grind. We wear exhaustion like a medal of honor. We say things like sleep is for the weak, as if burnout were proof of commitment. But that's not commitment, that's compulsion, and compulsion is the enemy of discipline. True discipline doesn't shout, it's quiet. It's the calm decision to stop when your mind is screaming to continue. It's the patience to wait when everything in you wants to act. The market is not testing your strategy, it's testing your serenity. Imagine a candle on your screen, flickering, unpredictable. Now imagine another candle, the one inside you. Every impulsive click, every late night check, every unplanned trade, it burns a little of that candle away. Not your money, your focus, your peace. That inner flame is what fuels long-term success. Without it, no amount of knowledge will save you. You can learn every pattern, every signal, every risk ratio, but if you can't master the impulse to act when you shouldn't, you'll never master trading. The real battle isn't on the screen. It's in the silence between thoughts. The pause between I want to and I will. The space where you choose to either feed the craving or free yourself from it. Many traders think the market punishes them for bad analysis, but the truth is, it punishes them for emotional disobedience. They break their own rules, then blame volatility. They chase losses, then call it bad luck. They stay awake not because they need to, but because they're afraid to stop. The deeper you fall into this cycle, the more you confuse activity with progress. You begin to equate exhaustion with effort and effort with worth. But trading is not a sport of endurance. It's a discipline of restraint. There's something sacred about the moment you decide to sleep. It's not laziness, it's leadership. Leadership over the self. Because to rest while the market moves requires faith. Faith that your plan is enough faith that you don't need to control everything to succeed. That faith is what separates a professional from an addict. You see, every trader has two accounts, one on the exchange and one in their mind. The first tracks your money. The second tracks your discipline. The profits from the first can vanish overnight, but the wealth in the second, that's the kind that compounds for life. When you choose to sleep, you're not missing a move, you're reinforcing a mindset. You're telling your subconscious, I decide when I trade. The market does not decide for me. That is the foundation of mastery. And yet so many fail this simple test. They scroll one last time before bed. They open the chart before brushing their teeth. They trade before their morning coffee. It all looks harmless, but it's not. Each small surrender teaches your brain that emotion is the boss. Each moment of indulgence weakens the muscle of control. That's why the sleep discipline test isn't about one weekend. It's about your entire career. Every trader will face this test over and over, not just at night, but in every moment of indecision. When to enter, when to exit, when to hold, when to stop. All of it is the same battle between impatience and presence, between ego and awareness. Sleep is just the most honest mirror, because you can't fake rest. You can't pretend to be calm when you're not. You can't lie to your nervous system. So the question becomes, can you be still while the market moves? Can you let go while others cling tighter? Can you sleep while the world chases shadows of opportunity? If you can, you're already winning, not in the chart, but in the only place that matters, your mind. The hardest part of trading is not the volatility. It's not the technical analysis or even the losses. It's the silence after the trade. The silence where your ego begins to speak. You know the voice. The one that says you should have held longer. You should have closed earlier. You should have known better. It doesn't matter what you did win or lose. The ego always finds a way to criticize or glorify. When you lose, it attacks. When you win, it inflates. Either way, it pulls you out of balance. And balance is everything. Because trading doesn't just measure your strategy, it measures your self-awareness. Every candle reflects not only price action, but emotional action. When you chase, when you freeze, when you overthink the chart, simply mirrors what's already inside you. The market doesn't punish you, it reveals you. There's a strange paradox in trading psychology. The more you try to prove yourself, the more you lose yourself. You start trading not to grow, but to validate, to prove you're smart enough, disciplined enough, worthy enough. But the market doesn't care about your worth. It's not your parent, your teacher, or your judge. It's just a mirror made of numbers. You project onto it your insecurities, your desires, your need for control, and it reflects them back to you in profit or pain. That's why no amount of analysis can fix emotional blindness. Until you make peace with the part of you that needs to win, every victory will carry the seed of future failure. Because when your self-worth is tied to outcomes, discipline becomes impossible. You'll chase validation, not opportunity. You'll defend mistakes, not learn from them. You'll stay awake at night, not because of curiosity, but because of fear of being wrong. Being wrong hurts the ego more than any loss ever could. That's why traders cling to bad positions. They'd rather lose money than admit defeat. But maturity begins when you realize that being wrong isn't failure, it's feedback. Every wrong trade is a conversation with the truth. It's the market whispering you were certain. But certainty is not reality. The real professionals are not the ones who are always right. They're the ones who can stay calm when they're wrong. They don't chase redemption. They return to reflection. They don't take revenge. They take responsibility. That's emotional mastery, the quiet ability to observe yourself without judgment. When you can observe your emotions without reacting, you've already won half the game. Because in that moment of awareness, the emotion loses its grip. It still exists, but it no longer controls you. You feel FOMO rise, but you see it. You feel greed grow, but you name it. You feel fear creep in, but you breathe through it. Awareness turns emotion into data, and data can be analyzed. Emotion, when unseen, becomes destiny. There's a story about a trader who used to meditate before every session. He wasn't religious. He wasn't spiritual. He just wanted to calm his mind. When asked why, he said, "Because I want to see the market without seeing myself in it." That's the essence of detachment. Not indifference, not apathy, but clarity. The ability to watch the storm without becoming the storm. When you detach, you don't stop caring. You stop clinging. You stop needing the trade to make you feel something. And when you no longer need it, that's when you begin to trade with true precision. Because clarity isn't born from obsession. It's born from calm. Ego thrives on noise. It wants you to react, to prove, to outperform. It feeds on comparison to other traders, to your past self, to imaginary versions of who you should be by now. But the moment you step out of comparison, something miraculous happens. You start seeing the market as it is, not as you wish it to be. And in that stillness, your intuition becomes sharper, your decisions cleaner. Detachment isn't about quitting emotion. It's about leading it. It's not about silence. It's about sovereignty. When you're detached, you still feel the pull of greed, fear, excitement, but you don't follow it blindly. You acknowledge it, respect it, and then return to balance. That's what the sleep discipline test is really measuring. Not how long you can stay awake, but how long you can stay aware. It asks, can you observe the urge to act without obeying it? Can you sense the noise of the market without losing the quiet inside yourself? Every time you choose rest over a reaction, you build that muscle. Every time you walk away from the chart at peace, you strengthen your inner anchor. Because in the end, trading is not about control. It's about surrender, not to the market, but to the moment. When you stop trying to predict every move and instead align with your process, you free yourself from the emotional gravity that keeps most traders stuck. That's where mastery begins, in stillness, not in struggle. And slowly, something changes. You stop chasing candles. You stop checking the price in the middle of the night. You stop defining yourself by the last trade. You wake up rested, open your charts with calm curiosity, and you realize the market didn't need you to watch it. It simply moved as it always does. But now you move differently too. You've passed the first stage of the sleep discipline test awareness. The next test will be deeper. It's not about rest anymore. It's about renewal. At some point in every trader's journey, there comes a shift, a quiet moment when you realize the market was never your enemy. It was your teacher. Every sleepless night, every anxious weekend, every impulsive trade, all of it was pointing you toward one lesson. You don't conquer the market by predicting it. You conquer it by mastering yourself. That's the final stage of the test transcendence. You start to see trading not as a battlefield, but as a mirror for your own consciousness. Every candle becomes a reflection of your patience. Every correction a test of your humility. Every rally a challenge to your balance. And you understand that the true chart is internal, the one you read with awareness instead of analysis, the one where every emotion is a signal, every thought a movement of price. When you learn to read that chart, the chart of your own mind, you unlock something no algorithm ever could presence. Presence turns noise into pattern. It turns randomness into rhythm. It turns trading from reaction into art. You no longer crave constant engagement. You no longer feel the need to prove. You no longer measure yourself by the size of a win, but by the calmness of your state. The market still moves violently, unpredictably, but you don't. You've become still. And in that stillness, you find strength, because detachment isn't disinterest. It's power. The power to choose when to act and when to rest. The power to remain unshaken while others drown in emotion. That's what it means to trade from peace. You begin to design your life differently. Sleep is no longer an afterthought. It's part of your strategy. Rest is not a reward. It's a requirement. You eat better, think clearer, breathe deeper. You realize that the state of your body defines the state of your mind, and the state of your mind defines the quality of every trade. The market isn't separate from you. It's an extension of you. So you treat yourself as carefully as you treat your capital. In time, the weekend becomes sacred again, not because it's quiet, but because you are. You stop chasing candles at midnight. You stop refreshing the chart under the sheets. You stop fearing what you might miss because you've already gained something greater. You've gained mastery over your own attention. Attention is the most valuable currency in the world, and the market is built to steal it. But when you protect it, when you spend it intentionally, you start to see opportunities others are too distracted to notice. That's what awareness buys you, clarity. Clarity gives you patience, and patience gives you profit. But the profit is not just financial, it's psychological. It's the profit of peace. There's a phrase I tell every trader I mentor. When you master stillness, you master time. Because time expands for the disciplined mind. A single decision made with awareness can change years of results. A single night of sleep can save you from a month of mistakes. Stillness doesn't slow your growth, it accelerates it. Because clarity moves faster than chaos ever could. That's the paradox few understand. Doing less often creates more. Resting more often builds stronger discipline. Slowing down often brings faster results. The sleep discipline test isn't about sleeping. It's about awakening. Awakening to the realization that your nervous system is your edge, that your state of mind is your strategy, that peace, not pressure, is the ultimate alpha. When you finally internalize this, trading stops being a battle. It becomes a practice, a meditation in motion. You don't chase setups, you align with them. You don't fight emotion, you understand it. You don't fear the weekend, you welcome it, because now you know the truth. The market never stops moving, but neither does your growth. And so the test repeats every night, every trade, every decision. It asks you, will you serve the impulse or the intention? Will you obey the noise or the plan? Will you lose yourself in the chase or find yourself in the calm? Only you can answer. Not through words, but through choices, through how you breathe in uncertainty, through how you rest in the chaos. The world will still trade while you sleep. But when you wake up rested, centered, focused, you'll realize something extraordinary. You didn't miss anything. You gained everything that matters because you kept the one thing the market can never take: your peace. The charts will keep moving. The world will keep trading. There will always be another candle, another breakout, another chance. But none of it matters if you lose the one thing that sustains it all: your clarity. So tonight, when you close your eyes and the market still whispers your name, remember this: you don't need to be awake to be in control. You just need to trust yourself enough to sleep. Because the traders who rest see clearer, think sharper, last longer. And when they rise calm, rested, aware, they move differently. They don't chase opportunity, they attract it. This was the sleep discipline test. If it spoke to you, let it remind you that the market isn't your enemy. Your impatience is. And mastering that quietly, consistently is how peace becomes profit. You've been listening to Mind Over Markets. Until next time, sleep well, trade consciously, and never forget your mind is your most valuable position.